The chains of the innocent. The twin suns hung over the alien city of Valcor, their red light painting the white marble streets in shades of blood. The sound of drums echoed through the plaza, thousands of alien citizens standing in rows, waiting for the execution to begin. At the center stood the executioner's wheel, a massive metal circle with glowing runes. Its surface shimmered with the heat of plasma chains. And there, bound by those chains, was Lyra, the alien girl accused of treason. Her silver hair clung to her face, her eyes wide but silent. She looked fragile, yet there was something strange in her presence, something that didn't belong to this world. Guards shouted her name, calling her a traitor to the Empire. They told the crowd she had betrayed the royal bloodline, that her very existence was a curse, but she said nothing. Her lips trembled, her gaze fixed on the sky as if she waited for someone. Among the crowd stood a man who did not belong there. His armor was dark, scratched by battles, carrying the old insignia of Earth's forgotten army. His name was Commander Ryan Hale, a human warrior from the Galactic Peace Corps. He had fought in the war that ended decades ago, but peace had never reached his heart. Ryan's eyes narrowed as he watched the girl, the way she stood, the fear she hid behind her silence. It reminded him of something. He didn't know why, but he felt a pull in his chest. A voice whispering that this was wrong. The alien announcer raised his hand, his voice booming through the loudspeakers. For crimes against the Empire, for the betrayal of her blood, for daring to carry forbidden genes, Lyra of the House of El Rin shall face the executioner's wheel. The crowd roared, chanting her name, demanding punishment. The executioner, a tall alien covered in armor spikes, stepped forward. His weapon was a curved blade powered by plasma. Glowing bright as he lifted it high, Ryan clenched his fists. Every instinct screamed at him to stay silent, to walk away, but something deep inside refused. He remembered the stories, how the Empire had purged half-bloods. Children born of alien and human unions. He thought those days were over. But now, seeing the girl's pale skin, her half-human eyes, he understood. Lyra whispered softly, "Please." Not again. Her voice barely reached his ears. Yet it was enough. The blade began to descend. The crowd leaned forward, eager for blood. Then a deep voice cut through the air. "Stop." Everything froze. The executioner turned his head. The guards stopped moving. The crowd went silent. Commander Ryan stepped into the open, his boots echoing against the marble floor. The sunlight reflected off his metal chestplate, making him look like a figure from an ancient legend. "She's under my protection," he said. Gasps spread through the crowd. The alien soldiers aimed their weapons. Their leader shouted, "Human, you dare interrupt the Emperor's law?" Ryan didn't flinch. "I dare when the law kills the innocent," he replied, his voice calm, his stance unshaken. Lyra looked at him, confusion in her eyes. "Why?" she whispered. Ryan's answer was simple. "Because no one else will," the alien commander sneered. "You are far from your world, human. You have no authority here." Ryan raised his arm, the insignia of the old Earth fleet glowing blue on his gauntlet. "Maybe not. But I have something your empire has forgotten, honor," the crowd murmured. Whispers spreading like fire. Some remembered the legends of the humans who ended the Great War. Others remembered the fear. The commander motioned to his guards. "Arrest him." Dozens of alien soldiers charged forward, their plasma rifles lighting the air. Ryan moved like a storm, pulling his pulse blade from his back. The weapon roared to life with a flash of blue. The first guard lunged, but Ryan sidestepped, striking his weapon arm and sending sparks into the air. Another came from behind, but Ryan spun, kicking him down. The fight turned chaotic, blasts of energy tearing through the air. The crowd screamed, scattering in panic. Lyra struggled against her chains, her wrists bleeding. Ryan saw her pain and sliced through the glowing metal. The plasma resisted, but the human's strength broke it apart. As the last chain snapped, Lyra fell forward into his arms. Her heartbeat raced against his chest. "Why are you helping me?" she asked again. Ryan looked into her silver eyes. "Because someone once saved me the same way." An explosion tore through the square as a plasma grenade went off nearby. The shockwave threw them both to the ground. Dust and smoke filled the air. Through the haze, the alien commander's voice echoed, "You cannot run, human. The Emperor will know your name." Ryan grabbed Lyra's hand, pulling her to her feet. "Then he'll know who defied him," he said. They dashed toward the lower tunnels beneath the plaza, lasers chasing them as they ran. Each blast hit closer, lighting the walls in orange fire. As they disappeared into the shadows, Ryan looked back once more. The wheel still stood in the plaza, spinning slowly, empty now. The crowd watched in silence, shocked that a single human had defied an empire. And far above, in the Emperor's palace, a hologram flickered to life, showing the scene below. The Emperor's cold voice whispered, "Bring me the human and the half-breed alive." The hunt had begun. The human defiance. The tunnels beneath Valcor were dark and full of echoes. Ryan and Lyra ran through the dripping corridors, the smell of metal and smoke following them. Behind them, the sound of boots and shouting grew louder. The Empire's guards were closing in fast. Lyra stumbled, clutching her side. "You should have left me," she said weakly. "Now they'll hunt you too." Ryan stopped and looked at her, his armor glowing faintly blue in the darkness. "They were already hunting me," he replied, his voice calm but heavy. "I just didn't know it yet." They reached a sealed gate. Ryan placed his hand on the control pad. The scanner hesitated before reading the mark on his palm. The gate opened with a hiss, revealing a hidden passage that led toward the city's edge. Above ground, the plaza burned. Imperial ships hovered in the smoky sky, searching with blinding spotlights. The Emperor's voice echoed from the city's speakers. Cold and commanding, "The human who defied us will be found. His name, Commander Ryan Hale, will be erased from history." Ryan glanced up at the sound, his jaw tightening. "They remember my name," he murmured. "Good." As they moved deeper into the tunnels, Lyra watched him carefully. There was something strange about him, something no alien soldier had. His movements were sharp but controlled, every step filled with purpose. "Why did you save me?" she asked again, her voice trembling. Ryan didn't answer right away. Instead, he knelt near a metal door, forcing it open with his blade. "Because the strong are supposed to protect the weak," he said finally. "That's what being human means." Lyra stared at him, her silver eyes glowing in the dim light. "Human," she whispered the word like it was sacred. "They said your kind were monsters, but you risked your life for a stranger." Ryan looked at her. "You're not a stranger anymore." For a moment, silence filled the air, only broken by the soft hum of energy lines running through the walls. Suddenly, a sharp metallic click echoed behind them. Ryan turned. Too late, a flash grenade exploded, flooding the tunnel with light. Dozens of alien soldiers appeared, led by General Vrax, a towering cyborg with red cybernetic eyes and half of his face replaced by metal. "Commander Hale." Vrax's deep voice shook the air. "The Emperor wants you alive, but if you resist, I'll bring your corpse instead." Ryan raised his pulse blade. "You can try." The tunnel filled with chaos. Blaster fire scorched the walls, sparks showered down. Ryan moved fast, deflecting shots, slicing through soldiers with deadly precision. Lyra ducked behind the pipes, her hands shaking. One of the guards grabbed her arm. She screamed, and something inside her awakened. Her eyes flared bright blue. A shockwave burst from her body, throwing the soldier across the tunnel. Ryan saw it, stunned. What was that?" Lyra looked at her hands, terrified. "I don't know. It happens when I'm scared." Ryan realized then she wasn't fully alien. The energy she released, it was human and alien both. Something impossible, something powerful. General Vrax laughed. "So it's true, the Emperor's little secret lives." He aimed his plasma cannon. "The half-breed dies now." Ryan jumped in front of her. Deflecting the blast, the explosion sent him crashing into the wall, his armor sparking. He groaned, forcing himself back up. "Run, Lyra," he shouted, but Lyra refused. She grabbed a piece of metal from the ground and held it like a weapon. "I'm not leaving you." Vrax advanced. "You can't stop me." "Girl!" Ryan's HUD blinked red. His armor power was low. He only had one charge left in his pulse blade. He whispered, "One shot," and charged forward. The blade met the cannon in a burst of light. Sparks flew as metal clashed. The tunnel shook, walls cracked. Vrax's cybernetic arm ripped open, leaking glowing fluid. Ryan kicked him back, grabbed Lyra, and sprinted toward the exit. They reached an old elevator shaft. Ryan smashed the control panel and the doors slid open, revealing a lift covered in dust. As they ascended, Ryan breathed heavily. "We'll need to get off-world." Lyra looked confused. "Off-world? You mean leave Valcor?" Ryan nodded. "There's an old warship hidden in the scrapyards. It still flies, I think." The elevator stopped with a jolt. The doors opened to a wide view of the city skyline, fires burning, patrol ships scanning the streets. The world looked broken. Lyra stepped out, her chains still hanging loosely around her wrists. They won't stop until we're caught, Ryan smirked faintly. Then we make sure they never do. They moved quietly through the back alleys, cloaked in the shadows. Every corner they turned brought danger. Every sound made Lyra flinch. When they finally reached the scrapyards, the giant ship stood before them, half buried in rust and dust, its name faintly visible under the grime. The valiant Ryan ran his hand along its hull, whispering like greeting an old friend. You and me again. Old girl. Lyra tilted her head. This ship, it's human? Ryan smiled. She fought in the last war, same as me. He opened the hatch, the lights flickering to life for the first time in years. Inside, dust floated through the air, but the controls still glowed faintly blue. Lyra sat beside him in the cockpit. Will this really fly? Ryan grinned. It'll do more than that. He powered it up, and the engines roared like thunder. Outside, alarms blared. The Empire had found them again. Dozens of drones circled above, locking targets on the old warship. Lyra grabbed Ryan's arm, fear in her voice. They're coming. Ryan's eyes hardened. Then let's remind them why humans stopped the last war. As the Valiant rose into the night sky, its thrusters blazing, the Empire's ships gave chase. Laser fire filled the heavens as the first battle began. Cliffhanger. The Emperor watched the chase from his palace balcony, his voice cold and quiet. Let them run. They'll lead us to what we truly seek. The forbidden truth. The night sky burned with light as the Valiant cut through the clouds. Blaster fire chased it like angry stars. Ryan gripped the controls tightly, his jaw set. Hold together, girl, he muttered to the ship. Just a little longer. Lyra sat behind him, holding the seat as the ship trembled. Her silver hair glowed under the flickering lights. Her heart raced with every explosion outside. They're still following us, she whispered. Ryan checked the scanner. Red dots filled the screen. They always follow the ones who break their chains, he said. His voice calm but heavy. He flipped a few switches, diverting power to the shields. The ship jolted as a plasma beam struck the rear engine. Alarm screamed. Lyra gasped. We're hit. Ryan nodded. I know, but we're not done yet. He pulled the ship into a steep dive, heading toward the wastelands beyond the city. It was a dead zone, a place destroyed during the old Galactic War. No one dared to go there, not even the Empire. As they entered the ruins, the scanners went dark. The pursuing ships vanished from view. Ryan exhaled slowly. We lost them for now. The ship landed roughly among the ruins, dust rising into the air. Metal bones of old war machines lay scattered across the ground, silent witnesses of forgotten battles. Lyra stepped out, her eyes wide as she looked around. What is this place? Ryan walked beside her, his armor dim under the moonlight. This was the last battlefield between humans and the Empire, he said quietly. Thousands died here, both sides. For nothing, they walked through the ruins, pieces of ships half buried in sand, black smoke still rising from deep cracks in the earth. Lyra touched one of the broken machines, her fingers brushing over the human insignia. You fought here? Ryan nodded slowly. I did. I was young, angry. I thought war could bring peace. Lyra looked at him. And did it? Ryan smiled bitterly. No, it only taught me what peace costs. She stared at the sky, her voice soft. My mother told me humans were dangerous, but she never hated them, she said once, long ago. She met a human who saved her life. Ryan turned toward her. Your mother, who was she? Lyra hesitated, her eyes filling with tears. She was the Emperor's daughter, she whispered. And my father was human. Ryan froze, the wind whistling through the ruins. That means, yes, Lyra said quietly. I am half human, half alien. A child who should not exist, she lowered her head. When the Empire found out, they called me an abomination. My mother was executed for loving a human. My father disappeared before I was born. Ryan's hands clenched. So that's why they chained you. Lyra nodded. They wanted to erase me, erase the proof that humans and aliens could be one. For a moment, neither spoke. Only the sound of the wind moving through the metal wrecks filled the silence. Ryan looked at her with new eyes, understanding the truth. You're the key to everything, he said. The Emperor fears you because your existence breaks his lies. Lyra wiped her tears. I don't want to be a key, I just want to live free. Ryan smiled faintly. Then we'll make that happen. Before they could move, a red light flashed on Ryan's wrist display. Incoming signal detected. He cursed under his breath. They found us. Dozens of lights appeared in the sky, descending fast. General Vrax's voice echoed through the communicator. You can't hide in the ashes, human. The Emperor wants his daughter back. Ryan activated the ship's shields. He's not getting her. He guided Lyra inside and sealed the hatch. Hold tight, he warned. The enemy ships opened fire. The Valiant roared back to life, engines screaming as Ryan piloted it through the broken towers. Blaster beams cut across the ruins. Explosions lighting the dark. Lyra focused, her eyes glowing faintly blue again. The ship's control systems reacted strangely to her presence. Lights flickering in rhythm with her heartbeat. Ryan noticed it. What are you doing? Lyra shook her head. I don't know, it's like the ship listens to me. The Valiant's targeting systems activated on their own, firing precision blasts at the incoming ships. 3 enemy fighters exploded instantly. Ryan grinned. Well, keep talking to it, but their victory was short-lived. A massive battleship emerged from the clouds. The Emperor's flagship, the Dominion, twice the size of the Valiant. Armed with hundreds of cannons, Ryan's eyes widened. We can't fight that. Lyra looked determined. Then we run. The Valiant shot upward, the stars blurring into streaks. But the enemy ship followed, its weapons raining fire across the sky. Ryan shouted, We need to jump to orbit now. Lyra reached out, her hand glowing as she touched the console. The ship's engines pulsed brighter, stronger, almost alive. A brilliant flash filled the sky, and the Valiant vanished into the upper atmosphere, leaving the pursuing fleet behind inside the cockpit. Everything went silent except for the sound of breathing. Ryan looked at her in awe. You did that? Lyra stared at her hands, trembling. I connected with the ship like it understood me. Ryan smiled softly. Then maybe you were born to do more than just survive. Outside, the blackness of space spread endlessly, the stars glowing like watchful eyes. Lyra gazed at the blue sphere far below, the planet that was once her prison. I've never seen freedom before, she whispered. Tears glistening in her eyes, Ryan looked ahead, his voice quiet but strong. Then look closely, because this is just the beginning. Cliffhanger. An alarm suddenly blared. The ship's sensors detected a massive fleet forming ahead, hundreds of alien destroyers blocking their path. And in the distance, the Emperor's cold voice echoed through the comms. You cannot run from your blood, my daughter. The battle of the Valiant space stretched before them like a dark ocean, stars flickering faintly in the distance. The Valiant drifted silently among the wreckage of forgotten satellites, its hull cracked and smoking. Ryan's eyes scanned the radar, his breath steady but tense. They're here, he said quietly. The Emperor's fleet. Lyra leaned forward, her silver eyes reflecting the red lights on the screen. Hundreds of destroyers surrounded them like a steel wall, massive warships glowing with blue energy. They'll destroy us, she whispered. Her voice trembling, Ryan smiled faintly. Not if I destroy them first. He gripped the controls, his fingers quick, the old ship humming as it powered up. The deep sound of the engines filled the cockpit. Lyra frowned. But this ship, it's damaged. It can't face them all. Ryan looked at her, his expression calm. Then we'll make them believe it can. The first wave of alien fighters darted forward, red streaks of plasma flying toward the Valiant. Ryan rolled the ship sharply, dodging through the blasts. Hold tight, he shouted. Lyra grabbed the console, her heart racing. The ship shook violently, alarms blaring. A plasma bolt hit the left wing. The Valiant spun out of control. Ryan cursed under his breath, fighting to steady it. Come on, old girl, not now. Lyra reached out instinctively, her hands glowing faint blue again. The console pulsed in response, and suddenly the ship's stabilizers re-engaged. Ryan looked at her in shock. You're doing that again? Lyra nodded. I can feel her. She's alive, Ryan smiled. Then help me make her fight. The ship turned sharply, diving through enemy lines, cannons firing bright blue plasma. 2 alien fighters exploded instantly. The shockwave lit up the void. Lyra gasped as the energy pulsed through her body. Connecting her mind with the ship's systems, she could see the battlefield through the ship's eyes, the incoming missiles, the enemy formations, the flow of energy through every circuit.
Ryan, she said, her voice distant but powerful.
I can guide the weapons. I can help you aim. Ryan didn't hesitate. Then do it. The two worked as one, human instinct and alien precision blending perfectly. Ryan's hands flew across the controls while Lyra's mind linked with the targeting systems. The Valiant moved like a phantom, weaving through the battlefield with impossible grace. Dozens of enemy ships fell one after another, explosions flashing across the dark from the Emperor's flagship. The Dominion. The scene was chaos. The Emperor's voice hissed through the command deck. "A single human ship is defying my fleet." General Vrax bowed, half his face lit by red light. "They are stronger together than we expected." The Emperor's eyes narrowed. "Then we will separate them." Back in the Valiant, the situation grew worse. The shields were failing. The engines overheating. Lyra winced in pain, energy flickering through her veins. "I can't hold it much longer." Ryan looked at her, concern in his eyes. "Stop. You'll burn yourself out." She shook her head. "If I stop, we die." A huge explosion rocked the ship as a destroyer hit them with a direct blast. The control panel sparked, smoke filling the cockpit. Ryan slammed his fist on the console. "We're losing power." Lyra struggled to breathe, her voice faint. "There's one chance." She pointed toward the massive enemy battleship ahead. The Dominion, its reactor core glowing bright beneath its hull. "If we hit that, it'll take them all." Ryan's eyes widened. "That's suicide." Lyra looked at him softly. "It's freedom." Before he could argue, another explosion hit the rear engines. The Valiant began to fall toward the nearby planet, flames licking its wings. "Hold on," Ryan shouted, pulling the controls, but gravity dragged them down. The ship streaked across the sky like a falling star. Crashing through clouds, the surface of Valcor grew closer and closer. Lyra reached for his hand, their fingers locking. "Whatever happens, thank you," she whispered. Ryan squeezed her hand tightly. "We're not done yet." The Valiant slammed into the ground near the Emperor's capital, a massive explosion shaking the entire city. Dust and fire rose into the air, the wreckage glowing faintly under the burning sky. Inside, alarms screamed. Ryan coughed, forcing himself up. His armor cracked. "Lyra," he called. She lay unconscious beside him, her face pale but breathing. The chains around her wrists had melted in the crash outside. The sound of marching echoed. The Emperor's guards surrounded the wreck. Weapons ready, Rian grabbed his rifle, dragging himself out of the ship. He stood in front of Lyra's body, blood dripping from his face. The lead guard stepped forward. "Commander Rian Hale, surrender the half-breed." Ryan lifted his weapon even as his legs shook. "You'll have to go through me first," from the palace above. The Emperor watched through a massive window, his face emotionless. "Bring them to me," he ordered. Alive, the guards advanced. Ryan fired until his rifle overheated. He fought with fists, with fury, with everything left inside him, but there were too many. A heavy stun blast hit his chest, and he fell to one knee, gasping. Lyra stirred. Weakly opening her eyes, she saw Ryan surrounded, his armor broken, his body trembling. "No," she whispered, crawling toward him, her hands glowing again. A wave of blue energy burst from her body, knocking the guards back. Lightning crackling across the plaza, Ryan looked up, half-dazed. "Lyra, stop. You'll kill yourself." She shook her head, tears streaming down her face. "I won't let them take you." Her power filled the sky, touching the broken Valiant, reigniting its heart for one final pulse. The ship's AI voice echoed faintly. Energy surge detected. "Overload imminent." Lyra turned to Ryan, her voice barely a whisper. "I can save us, but I need you to trust me." Rian reached for her hand. "Always." The Valiant's reactor began to glow brighter and brighter. The Emperor's soldiers shielded their eyes as the light consumed the plaza. Cliffhanger. When the light faded, the wreckage was gone. The ground cracked open where they once stood. And in the Emperor's palace, the old ruler whispered in fear. "She has awakened the power of the hybrid, just like her father." The Emperor's judgment. The light faded slowly, leaving behind smoke and silence. The plaza was torn apart, the marble cracked, and the air thick with dust from the ashes. The Valiant's wreckage glowed faintly. Half buried under the ruins, Rian stirred first, his body aching. Armor shattered, vision blurred. He tried to stand, but pain shot through his chest. "Lyra," he whispered, his voice weak. "Lyra, where are you?" He saw her lying a few steps away, her silver hair spread across the broken stones. She looked peaceful, almost asleep, blue sparks of energy still dancing around her hands. He crawled toward her, pulling her gently into his arms. "You did it," he murmured. "You saved us." Her eyes fluttered open, faint but alive. "We're still here," she whispered. "I thought we were gone." Ryan smiled through the blood on his face. "Humans are hard to kill, Before they could move, the sound of metal echoed. Hundreds of soldiers surrounded the plaza again, forming a tight circle, weapons raised, their armor glinting under the orange sky. And at the center of it all, descending from a golden platform, came the Emperor. His long robes shimmered with light, his crown of crystal glowing faintly. His expression was calm, but his eyes burned with fury and pain. He looked at Lyra, the daughter he once sentenced to death. "So it's true," he said coldly. "My blood defies me." Ryan stood, pulling Lyra gently behind him. Even as his legs trembled, "If you want her," he said, "you'll have to go through me." The Emperor tilted his head slightly. "You are human," Ryan nodded, "and proud of it." The Emperor's voice was sharp. "Your kind brought chaos, death, rebellion." Ryan stepped forward, his tone quiet but firm. "And your kind brought fear, chains, and silence." For a long moment, the plaza was still. Only the wind moved through the broken flags. Lyra looked at her father, her voice shaking but strong. "You killed my mother for loving someone different," she said. "You tried to erase me because you were afraid." The Emperor's face twitched, just slightly, a flicker of pain behind his cold stare. He took a step closer. "She was weak," he said. "Her love made her betray her empire." Lyra shook her head, tears filling her eyes. "No, it made her free." Ryan raised his weapon, but Lyra placed her hand on his arm. "No more fighting," she whispered. "This ends with truth, not blood." The Emperor's guards waited for his command, but he did not speak. He stared at Lyra, seeing her eyes. One silver, one blue, the same as the woman he once loved. "Do you think mercy makes you strong?" he asked. Lyra looked straight into his eyes. "No," she said softly. "It makes me human." The words cut deeper than any blade. The Emperor looked around, his city in ruins, his soldiers unsure, the people watching from shattered balconies. For the first time, doubt touched his face. Ryan stepped forward. "You built an empire on fear, you called it peace. But peace without freedom is just another kind of war." The Emperor's voice broke, almost a whisper. "And what would you have me do, human?" Ryan answered simply, "Let go." A deep silence followed. The Emperor looked at his trembling hands, at his daughter standing before him, the only piece of truth left in his empire. Slowly, he lowered his weapon, the blade fading to nothing. Lyra stepped closer, her voice gentle. "Father, it's not too late." He looked at her, tears forming in his ancient eyes. "I destroyed everything for power." She nodded. "Then help me rebuild it with mercy." The Emperor fell to his knees, his crown clattering to the ground. The soldiers stared in disbelief, unsure what to do. He looked up at Ryan. "You humans, you fight for things we forgot long ago." Ryan extended his hand. "Then remember them now." The Emperor bowed his head. "The empire is yours." "Daughter?" Lyra shook her head. "No, father. It belongs to everyone." The crowd began to gather again, whispers turning into cheers for the first time in 1,000 years. The Emperor's flag fell from its place above the palace, replaced by the symbol of the Valiant, a circle of unity between human and alien. Lyra turned to Ryan, a faint smile on her lips. "We did it," Ryan smiled back, exhausted. "You did it." She shook her head. "No, we did it together." He looked at her, the sunlight breaking through the clouds, washing the ruins in gold. "What now?" he asked. She took a deep breath, looking at the horizon. "Now we build a world where no one is chained again." Ryan nodded slowly. "That's a world worth fighting for." As the crowd cheered and the old empire crumbled, the Valiant's AI flickered to life one last time, its voice soft. "Mission complete." Ryan looked up at the stars, his voice a quiet whisper. "They called us reckless, dangerous, defiant," he smiled faintly, turning toward the dawn. "But now," he said, "they call us free." The camera of the story pulled away, the ruins fading beneath the rising suns, the crowd chanting in unity, Lyra and Ryan standing side by side as light washed over them. And for the first time in galactic history, peace was not written in fear but in courage. HFY ending line. They chained an alien girl to silence hope, but a human warrior broke those chains, and with them the empire itself.